When you first asked me, Binaji, when you first asked me and I saw the flyer, one of the things that struck me was the use of capital C. So when we talk about consciousness, and when you put the capital C, as you are aware, in Vedanta, consciousness with a capital C is Brahman, and so Brahman is, consciousness is, it doesn't evolve. So therefore, I was in a bit of a quandary, but then I said that I was just thinking about it, but because we are working towards a particular angle, I could understand what you actually meant. In my mind, when you talk about evolution, there is this whole thing of Darwinian evolution, which we all accept. But the crucial theory of Darwin theory is, when did timelessness enter time? If we say consciousness is timelessness, it's beyond time, right? So when exactly did man realize that he was self-aware? At what point in time in the evolution from an ape to a man did self-awareness enter the man? Because it was not a biological thing. As we believe, consciousness is not a biological, it's not a part, it's not a particle, it's an independent principle. So when did that independent principle, when did man become aware of that independent principle? So can even that question be posited? That question, that when did timelessness enter time? Can that question be even posited? Or when did man become self-aware, that he had free will, that he was not like other animals that which are conscious but are deterministic in their life, but I have a choice? When did that happen? So in terms of evolution, when did all these when did these occur is a question. So in my opinion, if we are talking about evolution of global consciousness, I would want to use those lower C and talk about how more and more people today are becoming self-aware, are being conscious of consciousness. You see, more and more people are being conscious of consciousness or being self-aware. This is why we are all, what Jeff, what Alan is working, what Anuradha is working, what Rthambhara is doing, what Indic Academy is doing. That is the evolution of more and more humanity being more self-aware. So in my opinion, there is a tipping point. We will talk about it because you have raised several questions which deal with that. But on an overall basis, when we talk about evolution, I would say that there's an evolution or a critical mass of people who are becoming more self-aware or becoming conscious of consciousness. And that is how I would respond to your question.
Yeah, you have to unmute. Yes, thank you.
Sorry. If you look at our framework of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, I think that framework is at a very, very fundamental level, very, very important for us to refer back. The question is, are more people being hastened towards the pursuit of moksha? If you say the evolution of consciousness or global consciousness is more people are pursuing moksha, if that is the question, then not just because of technological interdependence this is happening. It is happening because of multiple reasons. And in my opinion, it will be hastened. The pursuit of moksha and pursuit of liberation, that is going to be hastened to a manner and a degree that we would not be able to imagine. Because when the original society was constructed, there was no global integration, so there was no hastening up of interaction, and you had a normative life. But now you have a situation of a technological integration. So therefore, there's a more access to people having that access to this very concept of pursuit of liberation. The other thing that is happening, if you see, of a global population of, say, 7 billion people, the number of people who are currently doing yoga or meditation or mindfulness, if you actually say compute that number, roughly it would be around 500 million, roughly. If you look at, if you can calculate country-wise, we can calculate. Say, for example, US population is 300 million, and if more than 25% is doing some form of yoga or meditation, that's 75 million. Now, if you go around the Western hemisphere and calculate and include the East also, roughly you can come to around 500 million. Now, that is a very, very crucial number in terms of the overall population. You have a population of 7 billion and you have 500 million who are in pursuit of, that means they are already past the tipping point of artha and kama. They have already realized that pursuit of objects, pursuit of relationships, pursuit of power doesn't give them happiness. Pursuit of moksha, some form of spiritual inquiry has commenced. And that is why they have started this journey of yoga and meditation and mindfulness and what have you. So this is actually hastened up because of technology also, because of the globalization. And that is why you have this critical mass that is emerging. And that is why your original question is global evolution of consciousness is a valid question. Doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. Now we are going to have a situation wherein you are going to have autonomous lives. Everything is autonomous. Your cars, everything is autonomous. Just in 10 years' time, you're going to have a situation wherein everything, there's going to be massive unemployment. You're going to talk about a concept of universal basic income. Everybody gets a check in their bank account at the first of the month. What does UBI do? UBI makes you remove artha. The pursuit of artha itself is removed, right? And you will therefore go into your passion and karma and all that, exhaust that. So therefore, when more people are receiving UBI and more people are displaced because of AI and machine learning and autonomous lives that we lead, what would happen is the last goal is moksha. So therefore, the question is, technological interdependence is hastening up this global evolution of consciousness, and AI, machine learning, and autonomous lives will actually will make people more towards pursuit of moksha. So this is a very, very interesting phase in which we are in at this point in time. In 10 years' time, you will see a significant change. Very, very interesting question that you pose. And I was just trying to put a sort of a framework. I sort of brought out the Michael Porter in me, sort of reliving my old consulting days. And I'll just share my screen. I just made one slide, and I want to share the screen.
Premji, I think you should, yeah, please. Yeah, yes, we are able to see the screen.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, it's fascinating because it's a nice segue after what you said, and what Jeff was saying. What are the forces? Why is the divisive forces that Jeff was referring to and all that? So we have ideological forces. So if you think about marketplace for ideas, and we have ideological forces that Jeff was referring to. We have theological forces. We have neo-colonial forces that are expansive in a different form of colonization, that is not the earlier colonization that we have seen, but there's a different kind of colonization in terms of building infrastructure, giving loans, and all that. We already know about that. And then there are the economic forces that we talked about. Like, for example, we have the monopolistic big tech and all that. We have seen the effects of the economic forces. And then what you're saying, you want health, happiness, harmony to emerge from these four forces battling in the market force of ideas. Would that happen? Would that happen? And here we have spiritual forces like you and I and all the people who are concerned about humanity and concerned about all these things that you're talking about. How would that happen? How can, because all the other four forces, they get up in the morning to conquer the market. Whereas you get up in the morning for an inner transformation. You see, you get up in the morning to transform yourself. And in the process of that transformation, you want to transform the world. Whereas they are not interested in inner transformation. They don't spend time on that. They are only interested in transforming the market, in capturing the market, right? So therefore, this is the unequal battle that we are facing. This is the unequal battle that we are facing. That there are forces that are trying to capture the marketplace for ideas, and there are the spiritual forces with all their weakness, wanting to transform themselves. They are also wanting these three forces called health, happiness, and harmony, right? How will this happen? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Now the question is that fortunately, because of the excesses performed by all the other four forces, right, the marketplace itself is demanding.
Okay.
The marketplace, so there is a push and there's a pull, right? So the four forces that I was talking about, theological forces, ideological forces, neo-colonial forces, economic forces, are pushing their ideas into the market, right? But there's a pull in the market. The market is talking about conscious capitalism. Where did that come from? The market is saying, I will only consume things which are made in a sustainable fashion. It is all because of the push. There's a pull again. Now, this is what our spiritual forces should understand, that there is a pull in the market. That the world over, there is a thing called conscious. There's a pushback against these large companies. Everybody wants to be conscious and be aware of what they're consuming. So this concept, this search for health, happiness, and harmony is there, is a latent force which is emerging. It is now for the spiritual forces to meet them and to serve them. This is how we have to look at it. Yes, continuing the thought process that I was talking about, the spiritual forces in the marketplace for ideas. First and foremost, Rthambhara should start one more division for social entrepreneurship.
Right.
So please, you immediately make this as a point, because I'm going to say something which is very, very outrageous, and I know it's outrageous, but meditation is a very selfish act. Meditation is a selfish act. So worldwide, this craze for meditation, it's all, everybody's selfish. You have to work for the larger purpose. Loka Sangraha, you have to work for a larger purpose. Unless you build that into your system as a daily routine, instead of daily meditating for half an hour, 20 minutes and all that, every day in the morning, you have to have a capsule and say, I'm working for a larger cause. Unless we inculcate social entrepreneurship in our being and try to become karma yogis, have an after say grihastha, you have before vanaprastha, you have to have a in between phase of social entrepreneurship to serve the society, to meet the demand that we are talking about. then there will be a transformation. Because unless you do that, unless you start getting up in the morning and saying that I want to serve, as opposed to I want to meditate, I want to serve. If that serving comes into your being and you set up an NGO or a trust or whatever it is and become a spiritual entrepreneur, then the transformation will happen. So this is across, and this is across the societies, across the world. This is not simply one particular this thing. This is across the world. There is so many people, so many countries, everywhere yoga is popular, mindfulness is popular, everybody is there. But in all these mindfulness, all these yoga studios, there should be a separate division called social entrepreneurship. There should be modules called social entrepreneurship. There should be capsules called social entrepreneurship. I was telling somebody that Patanjali made Kapalabhati, then Sudarshan Kriya was popularized by Sri Sri, and then Sambhavi Mudra was popularized by Jaggi Vasudev. So everybody has a capsule. We need a capsule for social entrepreneurship. We need to frame and say that this is the capsule. Every day in 20 minutes, if you do this, think about the world, then the transformation will happen. If you inculcate this into the picture, that you get up in the morning for this purpose, then the transformation that you are seeking will happen. And you also need to have one simple thing, that you should die empty. This is very important. Because you're not going to take anything with you. We all know that. Right. So what have you done for that? We all know that. But what have you done that? Have you prepared a will wherein you have taken care of your family and taken care of your health, potential health hazards that you could have, and said that the moment I die, my bank account will be clean, will be zero. I'll die empty. This is a very, very important technique that we need to have. This is what I'm talking about. All these kriyas that are there, which are for inner transformation and inner journey. We need to develop techniques for saying that this is the technique in which I am thinking about a larger cause. The day that is happening, then you will see the transformation happening. I think one of the things that we are striving at Indic Academy is looking at everything from three attributes, three qualities. And that is what I think we should do, because there is a global demand. We are already aware of that. There's a global need, that is also we are aware of it. But what is the missing gap today, thanks to various reasons, is that there is lack of authenticity. That is the crux. So we all need to make an authenticity doesn't come from reading books, or authenticity comes from a guru shishya parampara, going through lineage, going through sampradaya teachings. It doesn't come. So we are trying to do certain things in a shortcut method. So the second thing is this whole thing about spiritual but not religious. There's one fancy thing that's going around in the world, and therefore the most important thing about this whole inner transformation is devotion. And if we are removing devotion from the whole thing and making it very secular exercise of looking at a candle and concentrating, or looking at sunsets and getting this thing, and removing devotion, then we lose the whole meaning. The whole purpose of this is gone. Today, even United Nations is now talking about indigenous cultures, wanting to, the thought process of indigenous cultures to revive our environment. If you look at UN report. And interestingly, they talk about devotion. They are talking about neo-pagans, and they are talking about polytheists and all that. And they are saying they need to bring back devotion to save our environment. So what we call it is immersiveness. So whatever we do, we have to do it with a sense of devotion and a sense of immersiveness. This is the second quality. And the third quality is everything that we are trying to do is ultimately for moksha, is a transformation. So that is one criteria that we need to remember. So we at Indic Academy, we work with these three qualities, these three attributes. That is, it should be authentic, it should be immersive, and it should be transformative. So our responsibility today is not, the demand is already there. There are a lot of digested, lot of pop things that are happening out there, but we have to raise to the occasion and ensure that whatever we are doing, we have these three qualities are maintained: authenticity, immersiveness, and transformative.